Hello everyone, this is a Quentin Blake story. Now Quentin Blake writes really good books and he also does the illustrations. This is called Mrs. Armitage and the Big Wave and it's a penguin book. Mrs. Armitage and the Big Wave. Mrs. Armitage was on her way to the beach. She was wearing her surfing kit and she carried her surfboard under her arm. Breakspear, the dog, ran alongside. That's a very cool looking surfing outfit. When they got to the beach, they walked across the sand and into the water. There she is, and there's everybody else at the beach, having a wonderful time. What we have to do, Breakspear, said Mrs. Armitage, is to swim out to sea and wait for a big wave. So there's Breakspear and Mrs. Armitage. I'll let you have a look at that picture because there's a lot to see. Here we go. While they were waiting for the big wave, Mrs. Armitage could see that Breakspear's little legs were getting tired. What we need here, said Mrs. Armitage, is something to keep a faithful dog afloat. He's finding it hard. They must have gone out quite a way out into the ocean because there's some seagulls out there. So she swam back to the beach and bought an inflatable desert island. When she got back, Breakspear climbed onto the desert island and they went on waiting for the big wave. There we go. But it was a hot day and soon Mrs. Armitage was sweating and Breakspear's tongue was hanging out. What we need here, said Mrs. Armitage, is something to protect us from the sun's powerful rays. Oh, there we go. So she swam off and came back with a cap and a yellow plastic brim for herself and an umbrella with pink spots for Breakspear. And they went on waiting for the big wave. It's a cute umbrella, isn't it? Now they were nice and cool, but they soon began to feel rather hungry, as you do at the seaside. What we need here, said Mrs. Armitage, is a selection of light snacks to keep us going. So she swam off and got a plastic duck and an empty box and tied them together with string and filled the box with tasty items. When she got back, Mrs. Armitage ate an avocado burger and Breakspear had some crunchy dog biscuits and they went on waiting for the big wave. Oh my goodness, look at that. They might be waiting a while. After a while, a breeze sprang up and blew briskly along the shore. This is delightful, said Mrs. Armitage, but what we need here is something to show us wind force and direction. And she swam off and came back with a windstocking and a line of bunting and she fixed them so that they blew in the breeze. And Mrs. Armitage and Breakspear went on waiting for the big wave. Oh my goodness me. I'm wondering whether they'll actually get their big wave. What do you think? A windsurfer passed them at high speed. "Hi there, gorgeous," he shouted. "What we need here," said Mrs. Armitage, "is something we can hail fellow sportsmen with." And there is the windsurfer. Here we go. You can get a good look. Quentin Blake does really good illustrations, doesn't he? And she swam off and came back with a red megaphone. She bought a motor horn as well, because it's always a good thing to have a motor horn. Then she gave a few shouts and hoots, and they went on waiting for the big wave. They're waiting a long time. They've got lots and lots of things to keep them occupied in the meantime. By now, all kinds of fish were popping their heads out of the water to find out what the fuss was about. "I hope there aren't any sharks," said Mrs. Armitage, and she swam off and came back with a sturdy boat hook. "Now we can give a prod to any sharks that want to trouble us," said Mrs. Armitage, and they went on waiting for the big wave. And there are all the fish come to see, and the boat hook. That is so funny. And then the big wave came. At the same moment, they noticed a little girl called Miranda, who had swum out too far and who was in difficulties. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? What do you think? And there, up there, is Mrs. Armitage with all the paraphernalia. Oh, went Mrs. Armitage on the motor horn. She hooked up Miranda with the boat hook, and on they went. Oh, that's so lucky she had the boat hook. Oh, wow. How did she know? They did a California slither, a Bali swerve, and a Waikiki flip, and oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Definitely a Waikiki flip. Arrived on the beach just in front of Miranda's parents. Wow. So they saved Miranda. That was lucky, wasn't it? They all went to the beach cafe to celebrate. "There's still time, Breakspear, for us to have another go," said Mrs. Armitage. "But what we really need, there's a quick picture there, them having at the cafe. What we really need is, oh no, what has she added? She's added some balloons. I don't know if she really needs the balloons. That is a very funny book. I hope you enjoy reading it with me. Until next time, ka kite.